listening to the Gamblin Gauchos, part of the Stake in the Plains Content Network, and the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast feed. Just a couple of casino caballeros talking Texas Tech, betting on the Big 12 and beyond. Now, here's Kyle Jacobson and Rob Bro, live from the Cardinal Sports Center studio.
Welcome to the Gamblin Gauchos. I'm Rob Bro. He's Kyle Jacobson, live in the Cardinal Sports Center studio, where you can gear up for a World Series. We already have a comment on here. Go Diamondbacks. I mean, you need it. You need the fandom there. Bit of a hole. I don't know if you're watching the game tonight, Grayson, but it's 10-1. And you can gear up for a World Series victory at Cardinals Sports Center. I'm sure lots of people got pieces to their Halloween costumes at Cardinals. You can gear up for basketball season at Cardinals. It's still football season if you need a red or black t-shirt or jacket. To go to the game in on Thursday, you can get it at Cardinals Sports Center, right outside the Loop Live in Lubbock, in person or online at mycardinalsports.com. Kyle, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
It's a good day.
Go Rangers.
Are you I know we talked about it a little bit last time, but are you a Halloween guy?
I wasn't until I got together with my wife. She's really into Halloween, and I feel like couples costumes, and now that we have a kid, making some sort of combination of costumes with the three of us is a lot of fun. To me, that's more fun than I would not really get dressed up and go solo if I was still single, but yeah, we have a lot of fun doing it as a family.
What was the costume this year, Tad asks?
So my daughter is about 1.5, and she's learning animal noises. And according to her, 90% of animals just growl.
Okay.
Birds, birds say cheep cheep, and cows moo. And so she loves to moo anytime she sees a cow. So we got her a cow costume, and she can't say trick or treat, so she just moos at people in our neighborhood. So she was a cow, I was a cowboy, and my wife was a cowgirl.
Nice. Doing a little angling.
Do what?
A little herding.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to be jumpy tonight. It's 10-1, but the Rangers are still playing. Josh Young just made a web gym, but they called him safe at the first base. Barehanded. All right, let's get into what we're going to talk about today. Do you want to do scheduling first, or you want to do game first? We can do either. We can do both.
Two quick things.
Okay.
Josh Young last night in a 3-1 win made a bunch of great defensive plays.
Yes.
So sucks that one didn't count, but he was a big contributor last night and started off with a double and a single tonight. I think his postseason batting average is hovering right around 300.
Yeah, him and Simeon have cycled today.
Yeah. Anytime Trevor Simeon, Josh Young, and myself combine for the cycle, it's going to be a good night for the Rangers.
Yeah, Marcus Simeon.
Yeah, Trevor Simeon, that's like the journeyman court. Why did I say Trevor Simeon? Because I had NFL on the brain.
Yeah.
Other thing.
Dobbs, by the way.
Real quick, we haven't recorded in a while because of our bye week. Last time we recorded, a lot has changed in terms of the Spitgate evidence. I feel like we should circle back to that, tie a bow on it before we probably never talk about it again. So I said, if I was a juror and this was on trial, probably not enough evidence. And Joey said something similar. It was like, hey, look at the video and you tell me what you think as a reasonable person. And the only video that I was aware of at that time that I had seen anywhere was after the extra point, when Batty and York are kind of face to face, and then Batty goes up to the ref. And I said it on the podcast, I was like, it doesn't look like York lunges at him. You don't see any spit fly. So I was like, honestly, could it have happened? Yeah. I think I left it at, I'm unsure, but I would not vote to convict if I were on a jury. I think the next day, 20 different video angles came out of different sequences. It's like, oh, great. I wish we had this when we recorded last time. And before Joey was like, hey, guys, look at the video.
Yeah.
The new angles to me make it very clear York definitely spit at or toward Eddie Heckard in a totally different sequence. It was after Texas Tech's first drive when we fumbled in the red zone on 4th down. To me, that makes it, first off, that incident, plenty of evidence to say York spit, but it also makes it a lot more likely that Batty was not lying later in the game. Like if York did it 30 minutes prior, it's likely he did it again. So using Joey's very same standard of evidence, like look at the video and then tell me what a reasonable person would conclude. Now that we have those new videos out, I think it is reasonable to conclude that York spit at least one BYU player, probably two.
Yeah. And
deserved the ejection, deserves additional punishment, in my opinion. And maybe that's already been handled internally. So that sucks. Like at the game when they ejected him, I figured they had good evidence. And then on Twitter, I was like, well, maybe not. Now it was definitely a fair and just ejection. Really embarrassing, honestly, for the program. Like it's bad enough to start 3-5 and lose some of the games you have in the fashion that you've lost them. But to have a player spitting at his opponent is, it's just completely unjustifiable. So I hope they're handling that internally. I'm sure they have seen all the same videos that everybody else has now that surfaced on Twitter. But yeah, I use this platform to say not guilty a week and a half ago when the evidence available was a little bit different. And so I feel like it's fair to use the same platform to say, yeah, he's 99% sure he's guilty and deserves the punishment that's coming his way. And that's something that you just can't tolerate. It's got to be cleaned up.
Yeah, I'm sure he's dragging hoses or flipping tires or whatever they do for punishment. I wouldn't care if he didn't play again this year. I mean, that is egregious.
Yeah.
And he definitely rears back and hawks a loogie in the clip that the BYU person put out.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part, like here's where I will defend Texas Tech, is like I feel like I've defended Texas Tech 9 times out of 10 when I feel like we get unfairly thrown under the bus as a program or fan base. Like, oh yeah, they throw batteries, they beat up elderly women in the stands, and like you have to constantly go on Twitter and be like, no, that's not true. Like I've been to 50 Tech home games and that's never happened. So this happens and they're like, well, yeah, and it happened last year against Ole Miss. Like, just look at this Lane Kiffin interview. And like the casual observer is going to scroll past that on Twitter and be like, oh yeah, this must be a thing. It's like, no, Lane Kiffin at worst was proven to be lying after the game, at best inconclusive, like never proved anything. And somebody surfaced this 2018 clip, like I guess back when Matt Wells was still the head, or maybe even Cliff.
Yeah, it was Tony Jones.
Yeah, of a Tech player kind of like lunging at an OU player. You don't see any spit in that clip. And they're like, yeah, like this is just a thing that Tech players do. And I'm like, guys get in each other's face to talk trash all the time. And that might have been what's going on in the Tony Jones clip. But now the like BYU fans took hold of that. They're like, to their fans, that's 3 incidents over 3 different seasons, 3 different players. They're like, oh yeah, that's just the kind of program they are. And so I hate that it, like you give them one valid example and in their mind it validates, in my opinion, inconclusive or incorrect examples. So it's really harmful to the reputation of the program, the fan base. And that's why I just hate that Jaden York did it.
Allegedly.
I mean.
Anyways. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to clear your docket of?
I think that's my confession for this week, Father.
Okay. All right. 2 Hail Marys and a Texas Rangers grace.
Yeah, maybe BYU would have beat Texas if they weren't so focused on Spitgate all week. That was kind of crazy. Like we were on bye, and so it's Twitter fodder. They were like talking about it on Thursday or Friday. I was like, don't y'all have a game tomorrow? Not that like fans on Twitter have to focus or anything, but it was like, usually that's one of those things that lives on until the ensuing press conference and then it's over by like Monday or Tuesday. But
that feels like a fan base that's going to be a thing for any year you ever play BYU. I hope they don't spit this year.
Yeah. And I guess one more thing. I think some like BYU dentist or chiropractor was tweeting about Spitgate, and like a few Tech fans gave him like 1-star reviews. That's just one of those, like, you need to turn your phone off and like kind of reevaluate life, like go touch some grass. You don't need to try to ruin this guy's business because you're mad that he pulled the receipts and like proved that our guy actually did spit. Like to me, it's easy enough to just go, yeah, Jaden York was in the wrong. He shouldn't have done that. He should be punished and like move on with life. It's not like you're personally responsible for his actions.
The Spitgate discourse on the day was very enthusiastic and spoke to how people consume media, because there were a lot of people talking about the TV video between Batty and York, and half the people were talking about the media video between York and Hecker, and they were talking about them like they were the same video. And it's like a game of telephone at that point on Twitter, and the discourse was rough.
Yeah.
We didn't do Gauchos After Dark because of the bye, but I just want to run through the results of last week to get your thoughts. Kansas over Oklahoma on Big Noon Kickoff.
That was a great game. Huge win for Kansas. Like, who knows if and when they'll get to play OU again. That's the first time, I think, in my life, at least that I've been old enough to remember, that Kansas beat Oklahoma.
Yep.
Makes the Big 12 title race very interesting. Now everybody has at least one loss. Yeah, and credit to Jason Bean. Like, I know he's not perfect. I know he's probably not as good as Jalen Daniels, but he's been required to play a lot of snaps the last 2 years, and usually there's not much of a drop-off. Like, they still perform well and win games when he's in. So they're a scary offense. I'm not looking forward to that game in Lawrence. It's one you now probably need for bowl eligibility, but that's not going to be an easy task. And Lance Leipold is probably that dude, and I kind of hope he leaves.
Go Michigan State, yeah?
Yeah.
Please. Yeah, and he threw, talking about Bean, through the late pick. The game was over. And then Jeff Lebby and OU can't get one first down. Dylan Gabriel threw it 14 times before the final drive, or something crazy like that. And he hadn't thrown it less than 25 times in a game this year. Just ridiculous.
Somebody, I think it might have been Evan Abear from Between Two Bears, part of the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast feed network, or he might have been quoting somebody else. But somebody last year was like, Jeff Lebby's offense is great when they don't really need it, and it's terrible when they absolutely need it. Like, getting out to, a 38 to whatever lead is great, but they can't finish in the fourth quarter. Like, between the 20s, it's great. That's like a prime example of that. It's like, hey, move the ball up and down the field all day, get one first down. Nope, can't do it.
Refuse. Yeah, I thought that game was over at the pick. Ethan Downs got the pick, the defensive lineman. It was not over. Houston, Kansas, this was the most surprising result of the week. 41-0. 41-0. I mean, Kansas State is rolling.
Kansas State's last three make you think that Stillwater was probably a pretty big anomaly. And Oklahoma State looks better than everybody thought they were when that game was being played, which I guess we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, like, if I'm power ranking today, the Big 12, Kansas State's probably number one based on like recent trajectory and everything. And they go into Austin. That game is major, major Big 12 title implications. If Texas loses that, they would not have the tiebreaker against a 2-loss OU or a 2-loss Kansas State, and that's if they win out after losing to Kansas State. So the Wildcats could really put the Horns on the ropes if they can pull off the upset in Austin.
West Virginia, UCF, about what I thought it would be, maybe higher scoring than I thought it would be, but about the gap of score I thought it would be.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't dislike UCF fans as much as others. I actually think they have some redeeming qualities. I find them a little bit endearing at times, but probably not a better incoming fan base to be humbled in the way that they have in terms of, I think they really thought we're going to go in and like run this thing. They're kind of like Utah fans in that respect. And to not have a win, hopefully is a little bit humbling.
Yeah.
And hopefully they don't beat you in Lubbock to get there first, because that would also suck.
That would be pretty brutal.
And I don't think they're bad. Like, I'm not trying to crap on them. They recruit well. Seen some unhappiness with Malzahn. I don't know if they're going to upgrade over Malzahn. I don't think they should move off of him or anything.
No.
But yeah, they've struggled a lot more. I thought they were probably the best equipped newcomer, and none of the newcomers look terribly good to me. BYU is 1 win away from a bowl, but yeah, all 4. It's kind of like welcome to the show.
Speaking of BYU, Texas over BYU 35-6. Punt return and a couple of touchdowns there. It was never close. 35-6.
BYU's offense is just not good.
I can't believe you lost to BYU. It still fires me up a little bit.
Yeah, I know you had your hands tied with a true freshman making his first career start, but I truly believe 20 points would have won that game. And had we played with that kind of mindset, being very strategic, then could have been done.
Iowa State over Baylor. Any surprise there? 30-18.
Just the margin and how bad Baylor is at home.
They are so bad.
I think they're maybe up to 7 or 8 straight losses against FBS opponents in Waco, something like that.
I mean, you were there. It's not much of a home field advantage.
No.
And then the Ollie Gordon show, Oklahoma State against Cincinnati, 45-13. And who was it? Oh, MJ Mahan on our last spaces talking about Alan Bowman leading the way. Alan Bowman looked good. Ollie Gordon looked better. And a couple of those throws that Alan Bowman made, I just giggle at. I just giggle. I don't know how they're winning, but they're winning, and they're playing good defense to boot.
I mean, when he's at 5.5 yards per attempt, which is bad, and your running back is at 9.5 yards per carry, it's okay, he's the epitome of a bus driver. And they're winning. They're what, 6-2?
Yeah, 8.4 yard average this game.
Okay, yeah, so he was down a little bit from. Yeah, hey, awards.
No, Bowman.
Oh, okay.
Ollie Gordon was 10.8.
Yes. Usually quarterbacks have more yards per attempt than their running back has yards per carry, but when you have a running back as good as Ollie Gordon, it's not as easy. I don't think awards are won in October, but if I was submitting a ballot right now for things like Big 12 Player of the Year,
yes,
Ollie Gordon.
Yeah, and it's not particularly close. He has 1,000 yards, and I didn't hear about him until week 5.
Yeah. And they were some of the early games, South Alabama, Arizona State, it was kind of like a Taj situation. It was why aren't we feeding this guy the ball?
Oklahoma State, man. I don't understand them. I don't understand their season at all, really. They lost to Iowa State.
They had so much downward momentum from the halfway point last year. They wanted their offensive coordinator gone. Their defensive coordinator left or was fired. I don't remember which. They lose a bunch of games to end the season. Everybody transfers. Just a team with no positive momentum coming into the season. I mean, but they did return some good players. Ollie Gordon, Daniels on the defensive side of the ball. And they're making it work. I think they have a shot in Bedlam this weekend. I guess I'll save that for the picks, but that's in Stillwater. And I think that's going to be a good game.
You mentioned Kansas State as 1 in the power rankings. Do you slide Kansas over Oklahoma since they beat them, or is that a OU number 2, Oklahoma State number 3, Kansas, Texas 4, 5?
Probably put Texas number 2. I think Texas honestly kind of outplayed OU in a loss. They beat Kansas, so you're kind of with Texas, OU, and Kansas. You're kind of in that circle of one beat the other. Oklahoma State beat Kansas, so we'll know a lot after Kansas State, Texas, and Bedlam. That's kind of the top 4 in my opinion. I know Iowa State is a 1-loss team. They're certainly way better than I thought they'd be, than pretty much everybody thought they'd be. I don't know if they're actually in the conversation there for Arlington. But we'll see. Hey, they've proven everybody wrong to this point, so maybe they keep it going.
Jankowski almost just took out Simeon. I mean, he did take him out, but Simeon looks okay. Simeon running back for a foul ball. Jankowski slide tackles him, going out of bounds. Gosh, $500 million getting taken out. All right. Lubbock Llanero, can you all speak on the basketball exhibition on Sunday? We will on Sunday. We'll talk about that on Sunday with a special guest. We'll tease that there. We'll talk more basketball then, too.
Special guest has already announced it on Twitter.
Right.
If you want to.
Okay. Yeah, Ryan Manville. He's back.
Okay.
I was just doing the tease, man.
Gotcha.
Okay, TCU coming into town Thursday night. Thoughts on a Thursday night game, Kyle? I know you don't like them. Yeah, wish it was Friday night.
Friday would have been a lot better.
I know you're a big Friday night game guy.
I mean, not necessarily. Like in a vacuum, I don't care, but the Friday ratings are way better than Thursday. I'm going to be honest. Wouldn't put this on Twitter, but I'll say it here. The Big 12 on Big 12 TV ratings this season, not so great. Now, if you count like Coach Prime in Utah, there have been some good games. There have been a couple exceptions to the rule, but like your standard West Virginia, Baylor, Iowa State, Cincinnati type game is not doing so hot. And part of that's because like you don't have any ranked teams besides the two that are leaving. You know, like TCU pulled great ratings last year when they were in the top 15, top 10, top 5. So I hope it corrects a little bit, but like Texas and OU always get the Fox or the ABC spots. Everybody else is getting FS1 and ESPN2, and it's just not been great so far. I hope to see that improve a little bit next year when we add the 4 newcomers.
Yeah. Question here: why are we wearing black, red, black? Because it looks awesome. I like black, red, black.
Do people think every night game is a blackout? Is this one a blackout?
I think they said the last one to wear black. I don't know if anybody said wear black to this one.
I haven't seen that. I mean, if I missed it, then I guess the red tops maybe doesn't make a lot of sense. But if they didn't announce it as a blackout, then like that's a very standard home uniform.
I like black, red, black. And that's like your best record that you have in a uniform. What kind of crowd do you expect?
A bad one.
Yeah. Thursday night, 3-5. You haven't been good against TCU. I would like for people to care about TCU, but I just don't think people do.
I mean, I have a different perspective on it now as somebody who has to drive 4.5 hours to get there. Like using 2 days of vacation to go watch a 3-5 team. I do not fault anybody with a job or a family for being like, you know what, it's hard for me to make that work.
And you have both.
I have both.
But you're doing it. You're coming down.
I'll be there.
You coming down on Wednesday night, or you just driving out Thursday?
Thursday.
Okay. Then heading back Friday, or you're going to make it a long weekend?
I'll probably head back Friday. I would have come in Wednesday if Rahino was open on Wednesday.
Well, you're in luck, Kyle, because they are open on Wednesdays.
Oh.
They're open Tuesday through Saturday, Rahino Barbecue and Market. And they're actually open 7 days a week in the Market. Rahino Barbecue open 5 days a week in the restaurant area. You can go down there, order online even if you want to make sure you get it when you get there. But I say just go and order there. Get in line, take it all in, and you'll be better for it. It's Rahino Barbecue. They also have some specials they've been rolling out. The chicken fried steak special that looked really good this week. Some tacos. You can buy house-made chips now at Rahino Barbecue. Get you some chips and salsa, house-made chips. They're doing it big at Rahino Barbecue. Follow them on social media at RahinoBBQ.com. Hi, I'm Homer.
I know it's a little bit early for Festivus airing of grievances.
Yeah.
Can I air one?
Yeah. Is it about me? So I don't want to hear it, but
it's not about you.
All right.
A lot of Tech fans like, I know we do the it's all West Texas thing, and that's not really where I'm going with this. But, like, the trophy that we play TCU for every year literally says these 3 words on it, West Texas Championship.
Yes.
And when you refer to the game as that, people are like, Fort Worth isn't West Texas. I'm like, I'm not trying to give you a geography lesson, and I'm sure as hell not going to receive a geography lesson from you. The game is called the West Texas Championship.
Yeah.
Like, do you think any Wisconsinites are like, that's not actually Paul Bunyan's axe? Can y'all not just accept the name of the rivalry and like move on with your lives? So
Cast iron, not actually iron.
Big Mitch 1082 is coming at me on Twitter for Fort Worth is in West Texas. Like, okay. One, it is, by the way, but even if it weren't, it still says that on the saddle. So
yeah, and in the history of Texas, the West, the gateway to the West, where the West begins, it's not just West Texas, it's the western portion of America. Manifest destiny and all that.
And America is Texas.
That's true.
All right, I'll save the rest for actual Festivus.
Okay. We're rolling toward Festivus, by the way. It's November tomorrow. When you're listening to this, it's going to be November probably, unless you're listening live. That is crazy to me that it's already November. I mean, basketball season less than a week away, or a week and a half away. Soccer's rolling. There's a mailbag question about soccer. We're in the Big 12 championship era. If you're a soccer fan, big times. All right. As far as the game goes, do you have any kind of, besides it being a must-win for bowl opportunities, is this an important game for Texas Tech?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's very little that you can salvage from the season at this point. Like, even making a bowl at 6-6 is a difficult task. And then if you get to a bowl game and like don't get a good matchup, you might not win it. So a winning season is even less likely. But I think there's something to be said for kind of getting off of a losing streak with TCU. I think last time you beat them was on a Thursday night, actually, in 2018. And then Wells lost to them all 3 years. And then Joey lost last year. Everybody lost to him last year in the regular season. So, yeah, I don't think there's going to be a ton of positives to take away from this season when it's all said and done. But if bowl game or not, you look back and go, okay, we beat Houston, Baylor, and TCU. And you beat everybody else in Texas that's in the remaining Big 12. Maybe that's a small nail to hang your hat on, so to speak. So, yeah, I think any in-state game is important for like recruiting dynamics and just sort of. I remember talking about this with Shahan Jayaraja on our preview episode, that it's a zero-sum game. Like Oklahoma State, Baylor, TCU, Tech, and Houston can't all be good at the same time. You throw in like Arkansas or whoever else in there too. So like TCU sucking, Baylor sucking is good for Tech, or at least presents an opportunity for Tech. And so this is just one game in the grand scheme of things, but I do think it is kind of important from some of those in-state dynamic perspectives.
Yeah, I think it's a really important game for everything you just outlined. I think it's more than just this season. You're 32-30 overall against TCU. You want to keep that lead, and you want this to be a rivalry, especially with Sonny and Joey. I mean, it just makes so much sense. And to kind of stumble out of the gate and lose 2 in a row to them, especially when they're bad, as bad as you are, theoretically, that would be a tough blow, especially to drop to 3-6. I mean, that with 3 games left, that's tough.
Yeah, if you lose this one, you're playing with some serious fire in terms of like worst season since blank territory. You went 4-8 in 2014, and that was the worst season since. Maybe Jerry Moore. Did Spike Dykes ever go 4 wins? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Like, I do not want to be sitting here around Thanksgiving-ish and being like, well, is this going to be the worst season since the Jerry Moore era 40 years ago?
I mean, think of the dichotomy of having the best season since and the worst season since back to back to open the Joey era.
Yeah, especially with like, okay, if Joey got here and it was like, hey, this thing is broken, we need a few years to get some guys in here, that's one thing. But when the expectations coming into this season was like, hey, we have a real shot at playing in Arlington the first weekend in December. And then we're like, hey, this might be the worst season in 35, 40 years. That is this would be an interesting question to ask TCU fans. Like, who's having the more disappointing season? Because TCU, coming off a national championship appearance, probably thought they would be better. I know Tech thought we would be better. But they lost so many individual guys and like assistant coaches. I don't know if pound for pound, like the expectations, I think they were similar to Tech. Like they were picked almost identically to us in the Big 12 media poll. But I think fans of each team are probably going to say that their team is more disappointing naturally.
Yeah.
But I would like to poll like some Baylor and Oklahoma State, Texas fans and be like, which one of these teams do you feel like missed the mark this season? I guess to Sonny Dykes and TCU's credit, they weren't telling everybody how good they were, at least not in the same kind of explicit terms that we did. And
not that we heard anyways.
Right. So
I wasn't paying attention to Sonny as much.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a big game, just kind of like in a bilateral sense, not really for Tech's overall trajectory, not for Big 12 standings or anything like that, but just like you don't want to go 5 years without beating TCU. I don't want Joey and his assistants to have to sit in a recruit's living room and be like, yeah, they got us the last 2 years, but like I know that they've got some tremendous buy-in from some prospects and everything, but still that's like, I want Joey to beat Sonny. We'll say this, though, you reminded me when you brought up the all-time record. I think a lot of Tech fans and Big 12 fans in general worry about, like, is there going to be enough juice in some of these rivalries in the remaining Big 12? Your all-time record, I think now that you beat Baylor, I'll need to fact-check this or double-check this. Your all-time record against Baylor, TCU, and Oklahoma State combined, I think is either exactly even wins and losses or maybe one game below 500, where you're like 99 and 100 against those three teams combined or something like that. So, like, if we're worried about, hey, there might not be matchups on the schedule every year that mean a lot, I think there could be. Like, all time, we could not be more even with those three programs collectively. And, like, individually, all those series, I think, are within 2 games. So, anyway, you saying that reminded me of that little tidbit. But, yeah, you would love to be the leader in all 3 of those all-time series.
Would love to be. Brock Burke making his debut after being called onto the playoff roster once Max Scherzer went down.
Never heard of that guy.
Brock Burke, the lefty? Surprised it wasn't Matt Bush. Do you know Matt Bush was discovered at a Golden Corral?
Not at Bush's Chicken?
Not at Bush's Chicken. How ready are y'all for Hudson and Hammond? I hope Hudson stays committed. I think Houston is 500 win-loss with Tech 2. No.
It's tightened up. They still own the all-time series. I think it's maybe like 19 and 15 off the top of the dome.
Let's see. I had it pulled up earlier. 18 and 16. Oh, that's closer than I thought. Okay, yeah. Within 2 games.
So, yeah, lump them in with those 4 and like you're maybe 2 games total, but below 500.
That's much closer than I thought it was. I guess you've won 3 in a row, 4 in a row there. Well, way more than that, but recently.
They definitely owned you during the Southwest Conference days, but since then, I think they've only beat you once since the Southwest Conference broke apart in 2009.
Yeah. 5-0 since 17. 6-0 since 2010. 11-0 since 91. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. Was it Bill Yeoman think he had our
Start,
number.
Starter says I wrote him off too fast. I'm sorry. I should have believed. I should have believed. Brock Burke allowing base runners. It's 11-1. Leave him in. All right. Any did you compile some stats? I know you're the stat guy for this game. Generally, do you have any bread or manna from heaven for us?
It was funny. I look at those every week, like some per game and per play stats to see if either the two teams mirror each other, if there's a strength on strength kind of matchup, if there's a weakness on weakness or strength on weakness that either side could exploit. And like every single stat you can imagine, both teams are between like 50 something and 80 something, just like the definition of mid. And then where one of them is extremely bad, the other team is extremely bad at the opposite. And so like Texas Tech has one of the worst red zone defenses in the country in terms of points allowed per opponent trip to the red zone. TCU is like 100 something in scoring once they get to the red zone. So it's like the teams really, they mirror each other so much, it's kind of scary that it's like neither one of them is particularly good at hardly anything. They're both like average in the same spots and they're both bad in the same spots. And so I think it's like a game of sort of avoiding mistakes. Like, can you avoid a red zone turnover? Can you not lose the turnover battle? Can you avoid penalties? Can you avoid negative plays? Can you avoid third and long? So yeah, usually I feel like I'm able to find one or two strength on weakness type deals or strength on strength where something's got to give. But these teams, like, and the stats aside, they're starting a guy who's making his, I think, third career start, Josh Hoover, a freshman. We're playing either Morton or Strong. So like either a somewhat hobbled sophomore who is more experienced than Hoover, but not terribly experienced, or Jake Strong in his third career game, second career start. And they got both versions of Josh Hoover. Like his first game, tore it up. They destroyed BYU. Second game, did not play that well. They got beat by Kansas State pretty badly. So
Yeah, they didn't play good at all.
Yeah. And like, I don't know which version we're going to get. I honestly feel like anytime we've seen Baron Morton, healthy or not, the second half against West Virginia is pretty rough from like a completion percentage standpoint. But he's taking care of the ball, and like the offense overall seems more efficient when Morton is in the game. So if we get a good game from Morton and more of a comeback down to earth type game from Hoover, I think that Tech probably gets the advantage. I think quarterback play overall, mostly like taking care of the ball, is going to be a huge factor in this game. I will say this, like Tech fans very disappointed in how the season is going, and it's very understandable why we feel that way. TCU is like, I don't want to say worse off, but almost bordering on like identity crisis levels of disappointment. Like Kansas State's All-American guard Cooper Beebe accused them of quitting and like not being invested in the outcome of that game during a blowout.
That was awesome.
Now, Tech hasn't, in my opinion, been like blown out this year. Kansas State definitely pulled away in the second half. BYU, the game didn't feel that close. You never really had a shot to win that game, but the margin was only 13. So, like, I don't know, as bad as we think it is, and maybe the bye week came at a great time for TCU to sort of hit the reset button on some of that. But at least I don't think our guys have been accused of giving up or not being invested in the outcome of the game. And that's just one man's perception. Like that's Cooper Beebe's opinion of some of the guys he was facing off against. So we'll see, but that's another thing to consider in a 3-5 versus 4-4 matchup when both teams have underwhelmed in terms of their season goals and expectations. I think there is sort of this give a shit factor that if either team doesn't really want to be there that bad, that could manifest itself in some big ways. And so certainly hope we don't see that from Tech. But like how many 3-5 teams are coming out with their hair on fire, like doing anything to win the game? Probably not that many. So, and that's where I think it's on Joey to kind of, set the energy, see if we can come out and play.
Yeah, if you lay an egg against TCU in this spot on Thursday night, that's a tough scene. That is a tough scene. And I will say as much if we come back on Sunday and you have laid an egg, because that is unforgivable in my opinion. If you get blown out by TCU, just flat out unforgivable. If you have a BYU performance at home on Thursday night against TCU, your peer, your local rival, that is something else, and I will not be very happy.
I will say one area. Our listeners are never going to guess where I'm going with this, but TCU is not great at defending the run. They give up more than 4 yards per carry. I think they're 80-something nationally in yards per carry, like defensively. We're at about 4.7 on the season, but that includes all the quarterback runs. I don't know what Taj is at, maybe 5.5 on the season. So it's another one of those. It's like I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt and say not every game, not every scenario is a run the ball kind of situation. But at least me looking at the numbers, I don't see any feasible way we don't hand the ball off to Taj 20-plus times. And if he hits his capacity, our good friend Tech Hoops Guy argued that we're using him just the right amount in terms of his EPA and usage. I don't know how he determined that balance, but he's a smart guy, so I take him at his word that he thought that through. But if he's at his max usage, then we need to find somebody else to run the ball. And I know we can't really run the quarterback right now with how the depth is at that position. We need Valdez, we need Nehemiah Martinez. If toting the rock is working, we can't get away from it or can't go away from it. And TCU to this point has not demonstrated some great ability to keep somebody under 4 yards per carry. So might not be sexy. You might have to grind it out a little bit, but to me, this is a defense where Taj can get his, but you have to give him consistent opportunities for all 60 minutes.
Yes. And again, it's not run the damn ball with Taj Brooks and only Taj Brooks, so help you God. It's just run the damn ball. Find somebody and run the ball because you're way better at running the ball than you are throwing the ball around the yard.
And be smart about it.
Yeah.
It is a fair argument that in the second half in Morgantown, 24 carries was a lot. And having more than 24 carries in one half is a lot. Why did he only have 3 in the first half? Could he have toted it 20 times in the second half and 12 or 15 in the first half? Probably.
Yeah.
Could he have, sustained one more carry to get 7 total carries against Oregon, a game that you were losing by 1 point and had the ball in the fourth quarter? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, probably so, yeah.
Again, I'm not going to argue with Tech Hoops guy. He's a really smart guy. He says that Taj's usage is, basically ideal. Okay, but get Valdez some carries, get Nehemiah Martinez some carries. We didn't use any quarterback run game. When we had all of our quarterbacks healthy, we didn't use any quarterback run game against Wyoming until the very last possession of regulation. So it's not just run the ball with everybody. It's let's do it consistently. Let's build things in the offense off of the run game. And let's not just abandon it for self-inflicted purposes.
World Series getting interesting. Rob, thoughts on Brock Burke? He has not been good. I think he might have gotten one out. I don't know if Stratton came in and got an out, but it's bases loaded. No runs in, but bases loaded here. 11-1 in the bottom of the 8th. 1 out.
Oh, we're fine.
We're fine. We'll see what Tommy Pham does. He's at the plate. Foul ball. Go ahead.
If the Rangers do win the World Series, I don't want to jinx it, but if they do win, they go to Disney World. You think they'll spend some of the offseason just relaxing and fishing or something?
Yeah, they might fish in the Gulf of Texas, and if they do, they should go to Wreck 'em Outdoors, wreckemoutdoors.com. Wreck 'em Outdoors on Instagram if you want to see some fish pics. I'm a big fish pic guy. All kinds of fish there at legendary Baffin Bay, and you're not just sitting in a boat or sitting on the coastline on the beach. You are wading into the Baffin Bay. You're in the water, wade fishing. Wreck 'em Outdoors. wreckemoutdoors.com. Go find Captain Preston Long. Full count, Tommy Pham. Question earlier, what championships have you seen in person? Let's see. This was a fun question. Thinking of Game 6 Rangers possibilities, what live championships have you attended in any sport? I've never been to a championship game. You went to Minneapolis.
I was there.
Is that the only one you've been to, or have you been to some others?
It's definitely the only collegiate championship game I've been to.
Will you be at Texas Tech Super Bowl on Thursday?
True, yeah. No, I've actually attended a lot of Texas Tech Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only like national championship or professional championship I've attended. My 5th grade basketball team won the city league championship. I was there because I was on the team. So
yeah, I was present for a state championship in high school. We went 13-0. I played middle linebacker on the final play of the game because they sent me in late. And the middle linebacker stepped up to defensive tackle, and I just ran into middle linebacker.
You at middle linebacker kind of reminds me of like Zeke at center on the last play of the Cowboys season last year.
It was exactly that.
Yeah. I would love to see the two of you go at it.
Yeah. It was exactly that. Tommy Pham flied out right field to Jankowski.
I went to a John Mayer concert on Saturday.
It's 11-5.
No way.
Yeah.
I thought that fly out ended the inning.
No.
Oh, crap.
11-5. Who was that? Is that Moreno? Oh, Gurriel. Lourdes. His dad is the Babe Ruth of Cuba. Ship. Okay. Do you want to do a mailbag? I'm getting tense over here, man.
Yeah, are we not going to talk about the John Mayer concert?
Oh, yeah, you were trying to. What was your favorite song?
So it was a solo set. It's literally just John Mayer, most of it just an acoustic guitar.
Awesome.
Did a little bit of piano, a little bit of harmonica. He's an actual musician who can play multiple instruments, not just like a pop, like a boy band or whatever. So that was impressive. So this was funny. He walks out, doesn't say like, "Hey, what's up, Dallas? Good to be here." Just starts playing, and it's slow dancing in a burning room. And when he gets to the bridge, go cry about it. My wife like turns to me and starts laughing because she knows I've memed that on Twitter before. Are we out of the inning?
Yeah.
Sweet. So that was funny. And then it was also funny. He did, how am I blanking on this? Oh, Your Body is a Wonderland. And he like joked with the guys. He was like, guys, like, don't worry, it's a short song. I'll let you know when it's halfway over. And sure enough, like in the middle of the song, he was like halfway there, guys, and like kept playing. But probably the best song was Edge of Desire. He did like this really huge guitar riff. It was like a cool light show. I didn't really think much of that song. I mean, I'd heard it before, but after he performed it live like that, I was like, it's pretty incredible stuff. So it kind of made me like the song more after the concert. Felt like I was living real big city life. We took public transportation. We drove a train there and back.
Nice.
A little bit different for.
You just park in a parking lot and get on a train, or?
Yeah, well, like I'm a Big Head knows, big city boy. So I have a parking spot downtown where I work that I can access 24/7. So we park there, and then the train goes from downtown like right to the front doorstep of the American Airlines Center. So it was $12 round trip for the train, and an Uber after the concert would have cost $160 to get me back to downtown Fort Worth. So glad we took the last train home, as it were.
How long of a train ride is that?
It's about 45 minutes. Depending on traffic, probably about the same as driving it, honestly.
The only train I've ever taken to a sporting event, speaking of big cities, in Chicago, was to Wrigley Field. You roll up on the L train right up to the front door.
Yeah. I feel like Fort Worth and Dallas have it mostly figured out. Like there's obviously a stop for the airport and then like American Airlines Center. They need something that like loops to Arlington for the Rangers Stadium, Cowboys Stadium.
How do they not have that?
I don't know. Like Six Flags is also right there. Like they could, I don't know. That's like my one beef with the train system in DFW, but it's like $2.50 for me to go to the airport and not have to Uber, not have to pay for parking. It's great. That was my first time using it to get to Dallas, and yeah, good stuff.
Big Hen says, did you have to turn in your man card when you went into the arena, or did you have to leave it at home?
So this is also funny. Because it was my first time taking the train to Dallas, I wanted to be really careful that we got on the right train, obviously. We get to the train station. There's 3 couples, like the exact same age as me and my wife. This is another thing. Like before we even left the house, I was like, I don't go to a lot of concerts. And so I asked my wife, I was like, is this what you wear to a concert? She was like, yeah, you look fine. And I could just like tell by looking at these 3 couples, I was like, they're all going to the John Mayer concert. And like, sure enough, they're like, hey, do you know which train goes to Dallas? I was like, no, but like, are you going to the John Mayer concert? And he was like, yeah. It's like, okay, well, we'll figure this out together. So actually the demographics of the concert, a lot of couples roughly our age. So no, I don't feel like I had to turn in my man card.
Seager double to lead off the inning.
That guy is amazing.
Yeah. By the way, Mateo, I am locked into Kyle's stories. I'm listening. There was a moment when I wasn't earlier, but I'm locked in.
The game 1 Seager home run, I watched a replay of that like 50 times.
Yes. Where he's screaming as soon as it leaves the bat?
Yes. He just like slaps it and it's like, ah! And then halfway down the first baseline, he's like back to robotic Corey Seager.
Would you get in the pool at the Diamondbacks field?
No.
Are you a public pool guy? Doesn't seem like you are.
In a controlled environment, kind of like our neighborhood has a pool. I feel okay in that because like it's my neighbors, it's clean. When I go to like a giant city pool in a major metro area, no, probably not.
What about like a hotel?
No.
Jumping in the water?
No, I used to do that kind of thing, but no.
I might get into the hot tub, but that's probably even more just it doesn't get hot enough to kill the bacteria. It's just cooking in there like a petri dish.
Yeah, and if I get in, I'm not totally submerging. Like I might get into the waist, but yeah. I'm not putting my face underwater in a public pool like that.
Your orifices in the water?
Did not think the word orifices would be featured in this episode.
Hey, word of the day, I had to work it in. Big Hen definitely is a pool guy. 100% get in the pool. Mateo says no pool. Comment if you would get in the pool in the comment section. Mitch Garber out. I don't think I can read that comment, Mateo. Apparently, orifices is a fluids mechanics word. I did not know that. Going to the bullpen again. I am so distracted right now. Do you want to do a mailbag? Are you done with John Mayer?
Yeah, let's do the mailbag.
Start bench cut. These pools: Diamondbacks, Marlins, Jaguars.
Oh God! Oh, start the Marlins. Bench the Diamondbacks. You got to cut Duval County there. That. I don't think so.
I would start the Rough Riders. What is it? Lazy River. Yeah, don't they have Lazy River? I haven't been since they built it.
I think I would start the City of Lubbock pool on 40th and Avenue P over
Closed.
The Jaguars pool.
Closed.
God.
I think all the pools in Lubbock were closed this year.
Man.
Maybe Maxie was open. Maybe they finally opened one of them. We had a little local pool on 29th in Chicago. The Butterfly Pool. What was that called? Something. Anyways.
You've got mail.
Mail time.
He's here. Come on.
I found these in my mailbag.
Well, it's time to reach into the old mailbag here.
Enjoy reading the fan mail. Don't read it all at once.
Any mail for me? You don't have a Tic Tac, do you?
Did I get any mail?
No.
Why not, honey?
The Seahorse Pool. Apparently that's the one on Chicago and 35th. Yeah, 35th, what it was. The Seahorse. Okay. Let's see. Which one are you taking if you get to take one? A women's national title in soccer or the football team wins out this season? Football or football?
Here's the situation.
Yeah.
I would rather have the soccer natty, but I think they could at least get reasonably close without my divine interference. So I'm going to use that up on the football team, and I think football can still make an amazing run on their own. And I'm going to try to have my cake and eat it too there.
I would take the national championship.
It's fair. I cannot fault you for that.
I mean, what are we doing? Winning out for 7-5?
Yeah, you keep Texas out of the Big 12 championship game. You get off the snide against TCU.
Kansas State might do that.
Bowl game, you could match last year. You could finish 8-5 again.
Yeah.
And
Give me
like
the
probably
championship.
salvage a lot of this. Yeah, no, I hear you.
I think we've answered this one a couple of times. Wide receivers, personnel problem or scheme problem?
Yes.
Yes. What would be the pros and cons of having Kitley in the coach's box? I think there's plenty of pros. I don't know of the cons besides he can't see the whole field. He doesn't know what's going on during the game. But allegedly somebody's up there telling him what's going on.
Yeah, I think the pro is that it literally offers another vantage point, but maybe gives him perspective in a more metaphorical sense that allows him to progress as an offensive coordinator. Circling back to the last question about football versus soccer, Big Hen is framing this 7-5 is literally our ceiling.
Yeah.
You could finish with a 6-3 conference record if you won out, and that has not been done since 2008. You have not finished with a better conference record than that. Maybe something to chew on.
Evan Carter just got hit in the hand. Looked like he hit the bat, but it grazed off his fingers too, apparently. Have you ever eaten so many shrimp you got iodine poisoning?
No.
I'll tell you what. This could be a maybe for me. I ate shrimp one time from Costco, frozen shrimp, and thought I had food poisoning. But maybe I just had iodine poisoning. It was the worst sick I've ever been in my adult life. I had to get like 7 blankets because I was having such deep chills. So either I had the worst food poisoning I've ever had or iodine poisoning. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Favorite moment from King of the Hill?
Are we in the trust tree right now?
Uh-oh. You've never seen it?
I've seen clips. I don't think I've ever seen an episode start to finish of King of the Hill.
Oh, man. I would say the pocket sand bit is probably my favorite. I do that in my regular life. I don't actually have sand I carry around, but I have fake pocket sanded people in my life. I rewatched through King of the Hill recently, but I stopped midway through. I need to get back into it and finish it out. I think we just got a double play to end the inning. Bottom of the 9th coming up.
Let's go.
11-5. Should Kyle be hired on to be a run game analyst and emergency quarterback for Texas Tech?
I tell you what, I don't know about that. Here's what I do know, and we can put an asterisk next to this because we were up in altitude, 7,220 feet to be exact. I did throw a ball about 55 yards in the indoor practice facility at the University of Wyoming. Was it in shoulder pads? No. Was it with a defensive end barreling down on me? No. Could I whip it out to the sideline on a bubble screen? Yeah.
I don't like that phrasing.
Whip it out?
Whip it out. Yeah. Don't like that. There was a question floating around a couple of weeks ago in NFL circles. Could a regular human being go and be an NFL quarterback and be better than the worst quarterback performance ever? Which is like 3 for 21 or something crazy for like 4 yards. Do you think you could replicate the worst quarterback performance in college football history? Could you be Jackson Tyner? Could you beat Jackson Tyner's start against Oklahoma?
Didn't Nathan Peterman have like 4 interceptions in one half?
Yeah.
So I'll say yes with a couple of caveats. I would need to be like in a red jersey, like, playing the game. Otherwise, like just the way it's played. But no, like one hit from Tyree Wilson and I'm literally deceased. So no, in that respect. Do I have the arm talent? Absolutely. And I'm not even saying that like in a arrogant, like, oh, I can beat a bear in a fight kind of weird. Like, I can actually throw the ball on a rope a pretty good distance. I can throw it with some touch. So yeah, like especially some of the passes that these guys are asked to make that are like literally behind the line of scrimmage. Yeah, I can.
I mean, you watch an Allen Bowman game and you think you could do that.
I mean, I don't know if like literally, but yeah, like if you took a lot of the reads out of it and just said like, hey, throw a jump ball to Jerron Bradley, like I could do that pretty far down the field, honestly. And I could put some good touch on it, like give him a true 50-50 ball. I can throw all those behind the line. Now, like the Donovan throw that he was so good at, 20 yards down the field from one hash to the opposite sideline, I cannot make that. Like the timing would be too difficult for me. That takes a lot of arm strength. But yeah, like even some stuff up the seam, like some pop passes to like tight ends or whatever, I could hit those. And I can throw on the run pretty well too. If we're doing like some sprint out stuff,
Okay.
anything like shallow or intermediate on the run, I can do that.
So if you had 20 pass attempts, you would finish with positive yards and more completions than interceptions?
Yeah.
You're calling the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you give me like my high school playbook and I could rep it with the guys for a little bit in practice and like we had a limited playbook, just like some basic concepts, like worst I would do, I was a pretty good decision maker. So like I didn't throw a lot of interceptions. Like I'll just throw it out of bounds if it's not there, or check it down, run for 3 yards. But again, like this has to be non-contact because
Can you slide? I was about to ask.
Yeah, like if Jalen Hutchings lands on me, like my career and my life are over. So like that part needs to be removed from the equation. I'm just talking about the arm talent.
Yeah. Has Kyle had ice cream withdrawals yet?
I mean, kind of, yeah. Like I said, that was the best ice cream I've ever had in my life. And I have finished off an entire tub of Bluebell, half gallon, since I got back a little more than a week ago. So, yeah.
Cookie two-step?
Great Divide.
Great Divide. Oh, yeah. I forgot you're a Great Divide guy.
Yeah.
Great Divide. Oh, man. If Texas Tech were to have had a healthy quarterback for the entirety of every season since Mahomes, what would Tech's winning percentage be since 2016? The exact same. Would be the exact same. I mean, because you're telling me there's drop off. When has there been true drop off besides maybe to Jake Strong?
I remember in 2020, Alan Bowman and Henry Colombi took an eerily similar number of reps, and their yards per attempt were like so identical that one of them was like 72nd nationally, and the other was 73rd nationally. Like, they could not have been closer.
And Duffy and Bowman were the exact same too.
Yep.
I mean,
So
well,
that's just like 1 year, but
I remember doing quarterback A, B stuff for both of those seasons, and it's like it's the same guy.
yeah. Like, there are years where I think there's some quarterback discourse to be had, and I know fans always do that no matter what. But those years, it was so pointless. It was like it literally does not matter which of these three guys you put out there. It will be the exact same result.
And maybe you're better just because you have one guy and he's consistent. But yeah, I don't think you're winning any of those games last year that you lost with a different quarterback. Maybe if Morton's healthy the entire TCU game, you beat TCU.
Maybe.
But
that pick six for Cincy State was pretty rough.
Yeah. But you've seen pick sixes from Shuck. And
True.
Of course, Morton's not throwing one, knock on wood, but bigger win during game one of the World Series, Rob hitting his parlay or the Rangers winning the game?
That was a big time parlay. Explain what you did there.
Yeah, it's called Prize Picks, no free ads, but it was a 6-leg parlay with player props. And Kyle, you bought onto the strategy there. I always pick games I can go over on or props I can go over on. I always hit the overs, and I was 6 for 6 with a pretty good spread there.
Did you lay down 10 to win 500?
20.
Okay.
20 to 500, yeah. I wasn't going to say that part, but pretty good payday.
Sorry, was I not supposed to say that?
That's all right. I already cashed out.
Okay.
I keep it pretty lean in there. Let's see. If you had Bigfoot on your baseball team, would you have him pitch or field?
I would have him pinch hit and lean in a little bit. It's a big frame. You can take one for the team and get on base.
You don't think with that wingspan he has some Randy Johnson-esque? Oh, did you see the Halloween costume with Randy Johnson?
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Elite. It was Randy Johnson and like a blown apart bird.
Did you see the guy in his living room with the Scott Stapp Cowboys jersey and it was like his girlfriend or wife in the white sheet? That was great.
Yeah. They did that on the Pat McAfee show today.
Okay.
Yeah. They had a guy running around with like a curtain rod and some curtains.
Can I talk about that for a second? The whole Creed and Rangers thing?
Sure.
So like I'll 100% fess up to being a bandwagon Rangers fan. I didn't really start rooting for them until I moved here. But one, just how good they've been has really endeared me to them. But more than anything, their affiliation now with Creed, which is a band that I've liked for more than 20 years. Like, even when they became not cool like Nickelback, I still have sort of a guilty pleasure that I enjoy listening to Creed. I've seen some of the social media content with Creed and like their interviews about the Rangers playing their music and stuff. I don't think those guys are like in on the joke.
No.
They legitimately think that like Kirk Cousins and the Rangers are inspired by their music. They think that halftime performance is...
I don't think Kirk is in on the joke either.
I don't know. He is to a greater extent than Scott Stapp is.
Maybe.
But like, I almost feel bad for these guys. They're like doing these interviews like, man, it's so cool to see our music still resonating 20 years later. And I'm like, they're making fun of you.
Yeah.
And like, I legitimately think they don't realize it. Which ignorance is bliss. They're going to Dallas in September. Creed is. I might go see them.
Yeah. Did you see the lineup?
Yeah, they're with Switchfoot and Finger 11.
Oh, in Dallas?
Yeah, they have different openers.
You don't get Daughtry?
I don't get Daughtry.
Damn. I'm going home to the place where I belong. One of the greatest American Idols of all time, by the way.
And he got like 6th place or something?
3rd, yeah.
Oh, I thought he like wasn't even close.
3rd behind McPhee.
Catherine McPhee?
Catherine McPhee and the old Joe Cocker guy. Who I think won that season. He had like gray hair, but he was young, and he like acted like Joe Cocker.
Well, he won.
Taylor.
Gosh,
I didn't know you were an American Idol guy.
yeah, he was from like Mississippi.
Yeah.
God, what was his last
had a
name?
dick like Joe Cocker.
Oh, this is gonna kill me. Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember. You remember the controversy from that season? Everybody thought Chris Daughtry was through, and so they voted for their second favorite, and he didn't get enough votes.
Yeah.
God, Taylor. This is gonna kill me.
I'm gonna look it up.
Somebody's gonna hit it in the comments, and I'm. God dang it. Yeah, he was like 29 with gray hair.
Season 5. Let's see.
Taylor Lautner or something.
No, Hicks.
Okay, that wasn't
Taylor Hicks.
what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I
he
wouldn't
won.
have guessed that.
And Daughtry got 4th. Behind Elliot Yamin,
Elliot Yamin. He was also good.
Catherine McPhee, and Taylor Hicks. Yeah, Elliot Yamin, he had a couple bangers.
He had some
after
bops. What was that one song he had?
Wait for You.
Yes.
Yeah.
Been a long time since you
Oh, yeah,
called me. Did you forget about me? You gotta be feeling crazy.
I did not know you were an American Idol guy.
What will it take to make you come back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Elliot. That was honestly, the two people who made the finals were not as good as 3rd and 4th place that season.
No.
Give me
it's just-
Daughtry and Elliot Yamin over those other two any day.
So, who's your favorite American Idol?
I don't know. You remember Bo Bice?
Bo Bice, yeah.
He was I think he was Carrie Underwood's runner up.
Yeah.
You remember Justin Guarini?
Oh, yeah, the original. 2nd place.
Yeah, to Fort Worth's very own Kelly Clarkson. Who are some
Scout
other?
Thompson.
Oh, Sanjaya.
So, what an epic
My dude Sanjaya.
pop culture there.
Oh man, who are some others? I remember Ruben Studdard. I thought he would blow up. Fantasia Barrino. Are we up 3-1?
Well, we went to commercial. There was 2 outs. The last time I looked over there, so I think we're 3-1.
Let's go.
Yeah, Ruben Studdard, Clay Aiken,
Clay Aiken.
David Archuleta,
Yeah. Who's Lambert?
Adam Lampert.
Adam Lambert. Thought he was going to blow up.
He did. He's with Queen. He tours with Queen.
Really?
He's the front man for Queen, yeah.
Um,
Strip the boots off.
I say really like I wasn't aware of that. Not that that information necessarily surprises me.
No, that's not a surprise, yeah.
Who are some other like? Do you remember Konstantin Maroulis?
Oh, yeah. Constantine. He did. He was on Broadway for a while after American Idol.
I used to love on YouTube watching like compilation videos of the worst tryouts ever.
Yeah.
Those were funny.
Well, that used to be like
William Hung, baby.
Yeah.
She bang. She bang.
Oh, so apparently it was a pitching change. Leclerc is coming in for the last out. Runners on 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs.
You'll trade a run for an out here.
Yeah. Well, you don't care about either of the runs.
Yeah, it's just
11-5.
Just using a baseball cliche there.
Pants on the ground.
Yeah, pants on the ground.
Yeah. Oh man, the heyday of American Idol was good television.
It was. I think social media kind of took away from it.
Yeah.
Once that sort of got rolling.
I've not. I didn't watch any of the American Idol last season, and I haven't watched it in 5 or 6 years probably.
I haven't seen American Idol probably since I was in middle school.
Yeah. Well, it was a nice rundown memory lane. I don't think anybody's still listening, but
Yeah, they're like, where the hell's the TCU preview?
somebody asked us to talk about Rangers earlier. So Jose Leclerc back-to-back Jose Leclerc is scary. Back-to-back Jose Leclerc is even scarier. So I hope it's another big win tomorrow, or you just lose tomorrow and win in Texas. Outside, low and away. Is Texas Tech a basketball school? Lots of astronaut emojis below it.
Can I ask a reasonable question about that?
Sure.
Is anywhere a basketball school? Maybe Kansas.
For sure, Kansas.
How many people go to a Kansas football game nowadays?
Well, they sold out a couple last year, but I don't know.
How many people go to a Kentucky football game?
No idea.
I think it's like 60,000.
Yeah. Well,
How
the
many
Rupp Arena's not 60,000.
Right?
Did you see Nebraska sell out a volleyball game
Yeah.
outside?
Where I'm going with that is there's a reason why the basketball arenas in this country are not as big. We're a football country.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
if any school had higher demand for basketball than they do football, I might be open to it. But I think everywhere it's a football school because we're a football country.
I think Kansas is a basketball school.
Now, like Gonzaga, they don't have a football team, so they're a basketball school. 3-run bomb.
2-run single, 11-7.
Okay, I'm a little bit nervous right now.
Yeah. And that was, who's that, Moreno? Ooh, on a slide piece. What a piece of hitting. What a good hit. Just getting bad on ball.
You can still trade a run for an out here, so no worries.
Yeah. Just trying to get anything on the ground. If football was a TV show, I would not like it.
I wonder what the highest rated NBA Finals game ever is and how many playoff NFL games rated higher than that, like Super Bowl or not.
Say that one more time.
Like, obviously, the Super Bowl is the most watched thing on TV every year, but I wonder how many playoff NFL games rate higher than the highest ever NBA Finals game.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
a
sure.
Lakers-Celtics Game 7 is probably like an NFL wildcard weekend.
I'm seeing that this is from Buffalo Godzilla. They changed the venue from Round Rock to UT's home field tomorrow, and you play Texas in the Big 12 championship tomorrow.
That's some bullshit, if that's true.
That's sus, as the kids would say.
That'd be like moving the Big 12 baseball tournament from Globe Life to TCU's stadium if they were playing in it.
Lupton. 2-2. Who is Kyle's pick for NASCAR championship next week in Phoenix? Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, or William Byron? Those are not real drivers.
Yeah, they are.
William Byron, never heard of him.
Yeah, he's young. He's fairly new. This is maybe his 4th year in Cup. Final out.
Foul out.
Let's go.
Woo! 11-7 after a 10-0 start.
Big Hen is my date to the football game on Thursday, and I told him, I was like, you and I are going to be celebrating Rangers in 5. So I'm manifesting that. So Kyle Larson has already won a championship. Controversial figure for good reason. Christopher Bell, I just have absolutely zero feelings toward. So I would prefer to see Ryan Blaney or William Byron win it. I don't have like a driver that I root for. I have like a group of guys that I'm kind of cool with, and both of them fall into that category. So I'm rooting for probably Blaney if I had to really choose, but either Blaney or Byron would be good in my book.
Sorry, I had to get a tweet on. Rob spoiled the entire 9th inning for me. Just glad it was good news in the end. Sorry. I've been behind everyone all week. I don't know why I'm ahead on this stream. But Texas leads 3-1. Oh man, my chest was getting tight there at the end. 11-7. I'm still reading questions, aren't I? I didn't listen to anything you said about the NASCAR. Do we need to rehash that or? Okay.
You don't care, so it's fine. And I don't fault you for not caring. Dude.
Who scores more? Go ahead.
Eovaldi tomorrow, it's over.
Stop, Kyle.
Just saying.
Stop.
Ranges in 5. Can you take me higher?
I mean, if it's 7-4 in the 7th inning, I want Jordan Montgomery to pitch 3 innings. I just want it to be over.
With Scherzer out, okay, here's what. Do you galaxy brain this and save Eovaldi for game 6 or 7?
No, you pitch him tomorrow.
Like, you're toast. You don't have Scherzer. Like, you're toast if you lose that start.
Game 6, you have Montgomery in Arlington.
Is that okay?
Yeah, he's been nails in the playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Josh Young pitched a little bit in college.
He did. He has an
cost
infinity.
us an outright Big 12 championship. But
Kyle, does your wife not listen to you like Rob? Who listens more, your wife or me?
My wife is a good listener. I get unfairly frustrated at her sometimes when she asks me about tech sports, because I'm like, hey, I take several hours away from you every week to go record a podcast, and like you can get my thoughts there. We're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube.
Yeah.
She's like, so like, who's the starting quarterback this week? And I'm like, well, it's like Baron Morton is questionable, so it might be, but like we covered all this. So I'm like, listen to my podcast,
Yeah. She does though, right?
Yeah, she does.
She's great. That wasn't a clincher, but I was clinched. Clincher, great song. Who scores more, Pop Isaacs or Texas Tech football against TCU? Pop Isaacs with the 30-piece.
I'm taking Pop.
Pop.
I think this is a game played in the 20s, so I'll give the nod to Pop.
Was that a quad 1 win?
Yeah. Not officially because there's no net rankings yet, but when net comes out, A&M will be high enough that a neutral side win over them would be quad 1.
Which picador is more psycho than Max Scherzer? The emoji seem to favor Mateo Nomeo.
I have a thought here, but I'm not sure if it would be well received.
Okay. That's my favorite kind of thought.
I don't want to offend anybody.
I think you should take a stab.
Kind of going outside the box a little bit of a curveball here. And I'll preface it by saying I don't necessarily mean psycho in a bad way.
I think in the context, psycho is a good thing.
Okay. Give me Mean Mac.
I felt I was wrong. I should have had her on my Family Feud team. I feel like she'd be a good Family Feud player.
I think so too.
I think we whiffed on not picking her. She's good at the one-liners. She's a good caption writer. I feel like she'd be good at Family Feud. My dad chimes in. Last 2 innings were nervous.
Your dad is very straightforward in his analysis.
He says last 2 innings little scary. Why use mini word when few word work?
That's exactly what I was going to say. You should just respond, hope Rangers win tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't know what just happened in my brain.
Yeah.
I had a stroke. Have you ever popped champagne?
No. Maybe once.
Yeah.
I have.
Like for an occasion? Was it your wedding or something?
Yeah, not to spray it everywhere, but yeah.
Right. I want to I've done it before on a big win. Like I just had a bottle of champagne at the house and I just went outside and sprayed it around. Once in my life, I would like to get 20 people and just tubs of beer and champagne and plastic off a room and just go crazy for 20 minutes just to see what it's like.
I bet we could do that someday if Tech is in the finals in Omaha or like playing for a Big 12 championship in
watch
football.
party.
Yeah,
That's a bucket list thing for me.
that would be a lot of fun.
A couple more here. Start, bench, cut, Big 12 alignment. We still need to get into that. We're an hour and 25 in. We don't have to do all of this tonight, but game's over, so what does it matter? Pods, protected games, divisions, start, bench, cut. And really that's the last question, so we can just get into it here.
I'll go in that order: pods, protected rivalries, and then divisions. When you're a conference geographically set up the way you are, I don't think divisions really makes any sense, especially not north-south. Maybe you can make east-west work, but so many of the teams, the Hateful Eight, are so stacked on top of each other. Somebody would be east and west that are like right next to each other, and it would not make sense. So I'm in favor of pods. And by the way, we're getting the schedule released tomorrow. By the time people are listening to this, probably today, Wednesday. Well, I should rephrase. We don't get the schedule. We get the schedule format, I think was how it was reported by Max Olson at The Athletic.
Right.
So I don't think it'll be like, hey, here's the 9 teams that Tech plays, but it'll be like an announcement of the pods or the protected rivalries or however they're going to do this. I would like to see 4 pods of 4. Out west, BYU and Utah together, Arizona State together. I'd like to see an old Big 8 pod that consists of Iowa State, Kansas State, and Colorado. I'd like to see a pod of old Big 12 South members plus TCU. So Oklahoma State, Tech, Baylor, TCU. And then I'd like to see a pod of relative newcomers, UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, West Virginia. I think it makes sense from a rivalry standpoint, a travel standpoint, tradition standpoint, time zone standpoint. And what I would do is obviously you play all 3 in your division or your pod every year in football, and you play 2 from each of the other 3 pods. So you would play every team in the conference, just like the old Big 12 days with divisions. You would play everybody in Lubbock once every 4 years, everybody away from Lubbock once every 4 years on a like 2-2-2-2 kind of schedule. So in practice, you would get Oklahoma State, Baylor, TCU every year, and then you would get either Kansas and Iowa State or Kansas State, Colorado from that pod. You would get Utah and Arizona or BYU and Arizona State from that pod. You would get UCF and Cincinnati or West Virginia and Houston from that pod. And then you play those same teams the following year, but you just flip home and away.
Yes.
Then the next year you play the opposite 2 from that same pod, home and away. And so that's how I'd like to do it.
It makes so much more sense than what the SEC does with divisions, where you don't play a team for 4 years, or like 7. Like it's been 7 years since Georgia played somebody in the West. Yeah, I want pods. I want to play everybody, and I want to play them all every other year.
Yeah, and it's I do think travel is like, going from Salt Lake City to Orlando is kind of crazy. Like you probably only want to do that once every 4 years. So doing the regional pods means 3 teams that you play in your neighborhood, every now and then. The lone exception would be Houston going out east, but they're as far east as you can get in Texas for the most part, and should have very easy direct travel to Cincinnati and Orlando. So kind of is what it is. The alternative, if you put Houston with Baylor, TCU, and Tech, which would also make sense in a vacuum, you're putting Iowa State. What you're probably doing at that point is putting Colorado, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State in a pod of 4. And then you're putting Iowa State in the Eastern pod with Cincinnati, West Virginia, UCF. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like Houston is a better fit for those 3 schools than Iowa State is. So that's really what it comes down to. Houston, I mean, they legitimately have a little bit of history now from the American days with Cincinnati and UCF. So that's what I'm hoping they announce. I'm worried because in my mind that makes so much sense. And your Mark is such an out of the box thinker that I'm worried we might have. And I guess protected rivalries is sort of a variation of that. So we'll see. I really don't want to lose Baylor, Oklahoma State, or TCU as a protected rival, and have any of those three replaced by Houston. Now, if they devise some plan where everybody gets 4 protected rivals, then I'm fine with Houston being the 4th. I would probably rather see Arizona, but I'm not going to freak out one way or the other. So we'll see, but I like the pods idea.
I do too. I think that makes the most sense. And like you just said, that might make too much sense for the Big 12. And we've been beaten down and broken by Bob Bowlesby leadership that we kind of don't trust that they'll do the right thing. But hopefully they will. Man, the Texas Rangers are 1 win away. I can't believe it. That is amazing.
Let's go. It would be good too in terms of trying to get into those later windows. If you have, you'd have 5 teams in either the Mountain or Western time zone, depending on daylight savings time in Arizona. That whole deal is weird. But if you had like assured inter-pod stuff, you would have schools from the Central time zone or the Eastern time zone constantly going west. And hopefully, if you're smart about how you schedule stuff, you can get, like at the very least, like a 10 Eastern kickoff. It would be 8 Mountain time. Like if Cincinnati's going to Colorado or West Virginia's going to BYU, something like that.
Is it interpod or intrapod?
I think this is one of those things that has, language has been so bastardized by our society that inter is used. So, from my understanding, maybe I'm an idiot. Intra means within something. So, like an intra-squad scrimmage is when you play yourself. Inter means between 2 things. So, like an interstate goes from one state to another. So, interpod to me, like interleague play in Major League Baseball, is one pod or one league.
That's
playing
right. Intra-league is playing another American League team.
But people say inter-squad scrimmage when somebody is scrimmaging themselves. And like to me, that's like irregardless. It doesn't make any sense, but it's used so often. Or I could care less. You're saying the opposite of what you mean to say, but people just,
Sorry, I didn't mean to grammar Nazi there.
That's okay. I didn't mean to rant about it like I did. But it does bother me when people.
It's all right.
Yeah.
All right. So we have 90 minutes of us. I think the scheduling thing coming out tomorrow, we can certainly discuss that more. I'll be on the Frog Squad pod tomorrow with Melissa. You'll be on Lupton Beers.
Maybe we had a miscommunication about scheduling around the World Series, and I haven't heard back. I would like to if they'll still find a time for me, but yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
The Frog Pod on the Republic of Football feed with us and the often referenced Evan Abear. Is that what you called him earlier?
Yeah.
I thought it was Herbert.
Nope.
Abear? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I should have known that as a fellow Frenchman, but I thought it was Herbert.
I am like 90% sure it's Abear.
How's it spelled? Because I thought it was...
It's spelled like Justin Herbert, but without the R.
Okay. I had no idea.
Yeah. We're a part of another podcast network, Staking the Plains.
Hey, shout out to them.
Yeah, getting some pub. Seeing Scarlet, they're like in year 1. So, I mean, they're like a baby chicken and crushing it. They
got a write-up today.
They talk about everything, but where they're really, earning their stripes and getting a lot of credit that they very much deserve is coverage of the women's sports at Texas Tech. And of course, the timing couldn't be better with the soccer season we're having. And really to a maybe slightly lesser extent, the women's basketball program back in the spring. But yeah, cool little profile on the Daily Torador on like how they got started and the work they're doing. So check that out. It's on Twitter, and Daily Torador is free to read and everything. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, I enjoyed the write-up.
Yeah, proud of them. Proud of 23 personnel. Red Raider dugout. It's the off season, but I think pretty soon we'll have some intra-squad baseball scrimmages to report on, and Always a lot of excitement around the baseball program. They seemingly just kind of reload. And so hopefully Keith will have some stuff soon on maybe what to expect from the baseball team. And really proud to be affiliated with all three of those other content creators and podcasts/websites.
Big fan of the red-black scrimmage. Do you know what the LCU scrimmage is called every year? Baseball in the fall?
Would it be the blue and white?
The Ducks and Skunks.
Would not have guessed that.
Yeah, Ducks and Skunks.
I saw a young man in my neighborhood today for Halloween in a skunk costume. I respected that.
Go Skunks. Have you ever heard the joke about the two skunk brothers? In and out? Yeah. I don't know that I could remember it well enough to tell it, but the punchline is, how did you find in? Instincts. That's how you found him, because in stinks. He's a skunk.
Gotcha.
That's the punchline. It's a long joke that you have to go about finding a skunk, but
they said you sound like an owl.
who? That's been going around. That's a pretty good one.
Am I late to that?
Yeah, that's been going around on TikTok.
I'm gonna try it on some people at the office tomorrow.
Yeah. They said you sound like an owl. Ooh. That's pretty good responses there on the TikTok.
Those are funny.
Yeah, most people get it pretty quick.
They said you sound like an owl.
I did that one to my dad recently, and he didn't. He fell for it, but it took him a long time because he didn't.
Yeah.
Say, he said they said I sound like a what? It's like, if you don't say it right, like if you don't get the who right off the bat, it's all ruined. So you just kind of have to say it again. Like, they sound like, they what? It's like, you didn't hear me.
I need to try it on, the generation of people that maybe are not as likely to be on TikTok.
Yeah, that's him. Oh man, Texas Rangers, Kyle, 1 win away.
We did it, man. I've waited my whole life for this.
Of course, when has that gone wrong for the Rangers to be 1 away from something?
You said it, not me. You want to just lightning round some picks real quick?
Oh yeah, we hadn't even done the picks. Did we get all our ad reads in? I think we did.
Matador Transit mailbag, right?
The Matador Transit mailbag. I don't think we said that actually.
Well, now you know it's the Matador Transit mailbag.
Love those guys.
I do love those guys.
Do you want me to pull up the picks?
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't understand what you meant. It looked like you were looking at your phone.
I am. I'm getting my final thoughts ready.
I've got them right here, though. I can do them. Thursday night, we'll do that one last. 11 a.m. on Saturday, Kansas State at Texas. This is a top 25 matchup. Texas -4.
Emotional hedge. Texas -4.
Yeah. Give me Kansas State, but I agree. Bedlam, the final Bedlam ever. Hopefully not, but maybe. On ABC, Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma -5.5. Or if you ask Chuck, +5.5.
That feels like bait. It really feels like they want you to take Oklahoma at 5.5. It's like the opposite of a hook. Like if it was 7.5, they'd be baiting you into taking Oklahoma State. Might be wishful thinking. Opposite of an emotional hedge. Go Pokes.
I think Dylan Gabriel's hurt based on how they used him last week.
I think Ollie Gordon should touch the ball 35 times in this game.
Yeah.
Go Pokes.
And Alan Bowman with some success in pieces against Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Houston, Baylor, the battle for the bottom of the Big 12. Except for maybe Texas Tech's down there too. And Cincinnati, but we'll talk about them in a second. Battle for the bottom of the Big 12 on ESPN Plus, Baylor -4.
Gosh. It feels so wrong to pick either of these teams.
I took Houston +17 last week, by the way. It didn't work.
Baylor has to win and cover at home eventually, right? Maybe not.
Are you saying they're due?
They're due. Yeah, Bears -4.
Okay, I'll take Houston again. Donovan owes them. UCF Cincinnati -4.5 to the road team.
This is like the first line that is disrespectful to Cincinnati. They've been given so much love by Vegas, or like benefit of the doubt, and they never do anything with it. It's like, is it a due thing, or are they finally just priced correctly? I think I'll take UCF -4.5, although this might finally be the week the Bearcats cover.
Yeah, give me Cincinnati. In fact, Cincinnati money line.
Ooh.
Kansas, Iowa State. Iowa State -2.5 at home. This is a spot for Matt Campbell. Honestly, it's a spot for Kansas too.
I'm so uneasy about that line. I'm going to actually take the Cyclones. I don't feel good about it, but I don't know.
I agree. BYU, West Virginia in a battle for bowl eligibility. West Virginia -10.
That's a lot, but BYU's offense stinks. Give me the ears. And man, if not for that Hail Mary, if they do win as a 10-point favorite, if not for that Hail Mary in Houston, I would say Neil Brown is like off the hot seat, good season, all that. That would have been if they beat BYU as a 10-point favorite, and had they not lost on that Hail Mary, what would their Big 12 record be?
Yeah.
Because they beat UCF, they beat Tech, they beat TCU. They would have 5 Big 12 wins the first weekend of November. Like, that's nothing to sneeze at.
Just that pesky loss against Penn State early.
And Oklahoma State, but Oklahoma State now looks better than everybody thought. So, I don't know.
You talked me into it, but I'll still fade you. I'll go BYU for no reason. It's not like we're tracking these. Texas Tech -3. What do you think? And can I get a score prediction?
I think until this offense proves anything to me, that I'm very hesitant to lay points against a similar caliber opponent, whether it's at home or not. I think Baron Morton will play. I don't know how, is he 70%? Is he 90%? Even if he is 95%, like, how much do you trust the play calling? How much do you trust the execution? How much do you trust if it's a close game? Like, do we have a clutch gene? I don't think we've really proven any of that. And so I think our defense has been mostly solid. I think we can hold them into the 20s, but like, can you eclipse 27 or 28? I don't feel confident in that at all. So, do you have the total in front of you?
I don't think so, but let me look.
I'm inclined to say something like TCU 30, Texas Tech 27.
59.5.
Okay. So I'll go snug under there. Don't really feel great about the total, but I guess that's where my score prediction landed. Yeah, I'll say 30-27 TCU.
So we keep doing this. You'll say a score, and then I'll say one slightly above you. In my mind, I'm going to tell you how I played it out. I said 24-17, and I thought to myself, I feel like this is going to go higher with Morton and this defense that has been good. You're allowing like 8 points a game in Big 12 play second halves. You've been very good. It took a defensive touchdown for BYU to score what they scored. But I'm going to stick with 24-17. My second thought was 31-28, but that's just too close to you, and I don't like being close to you like that. Week after week, we get on here, and you say your score first, and then I have to say my score that's very close to yours. So I'm just going to stick to 24-17.
I'm really worried also if you lose this game as a favorite. It will have been your, Wyoming, TCU, West Virginia, BYU. I don't think I'm missing one. It'll be your fourth loss straight up as a favorite. It's complete opposite of what happened last year. I think you won 4 games as an underdog last year. So could be bad. What else was like? Oh, let me ask you this. Do you think our run defense or our pass defense is better, pound for pound?
Run defense.
I agree. And TCU runs the ball less than just about anybody in the country. I think they're 112th nationally in run share. So be a good game for the pass rush to step up like they did once against Baylor and never besides that. Be a good game to force some turnovers, which we've not done. They're going to go to the air. They're going to give you opportunities. So like Malik Dunlap, Dadrian Taylor-Demerson, if they can get their hands on a couple passes in the secondary, if Steve Linton, Miles Cole, Joseph Adedire, guys like that can get home, that's a recipe for success. But like, you have no track record of doing that this year, which is what makes me.
Yeah, keys to the game are basically things you've not done all year that you need to do and do them with consistency.
Yeah. And then I think you might be favored against UCF when they come to Lubbock, and that's going to be another not easy game. Like, let's just play out worst case scenario. What if you lose 6 games as a favorite this year? That could happen.
If you lose this weekend, Kansas will probably be favored.
Yeah.
Even if they lose this weekend. And then Texas will obviously be favored regardless of what happens. Yeah, that would be tough.
That was like a whole part of my, if you remember preseason, my thinking on like, yeah, 9 wins is feasible because like you could be favored in 10 of these 12 games. Like I thought by the time you got to Waco, that one would flip or be a toss-up, and it was. Your favorite at home against Kansas State, TCU, viewed those as kind of toss-up games. You lost one of those. We'll see what happens on the next one. Road favorites, thought Morgantown and Provo were good opportunities. The market agreed. You didn't get it done. So, like, I think that's maybe one of the more frustrating things is, like, I always try to anchor expectations to Vegas odds. And I remember thinking in those terms. I was like, okay, let's say, even if it doesn't quite shake out that way, let's say you're favored in 9, dogs in 3. You don't necessarily win all the ones you're favored, but you don't necessarily lose all the ones you're dogs. Like, what if you go 1-2 as a dog and you win 7 or 8 of the 9 that you're favored in? It's how you get to a good season. And, like, we had Oregon on the ropes, blew it, lost as a 13-point favorite in Laramie. And it's just been frustrating from that standpoint because it's not like you're a 10-point underdog who's not pulling off upsets. Like, you're the favorite team. The market is expecting you to win more often than not, and you're blowing it. So it's frustrating.
All right, final thoughts?
He who does not take the test will fail.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, a lot of people think that Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott said that, but actually it's a Norwegian proverb.
It is. It is 1 hour, 48 minutes in. The proverb's on the books. The TCU talk is done. Let's get out of here.
Oh, one more thing. If you're a Patreon subscriber, hang on, drop my wedding ring.
Uh-oh.
Got it. If you're a Patreon subscriber, we offered up some tickets as part of a ticket giveaway. So if you missed that earlier, DM me in the Discord if you're in there, or message me on Patreon. If you're not and you want a shot at some tickets to the game on Thursday, join us, patreon.com/Gamblin Gauchos, $5 a month. Get access to bonus content, the #1 Texas Tech fan Discord server, and ticket giveaway opportunities, apparently. So new perks every week. And that is all I have after 109 minutes.
All right.
Go Rangers. Love y'all.